and two daughters, four grandsons and four and two
That's so special.
That's it.
I have four daughters.
We just have to have more kids, more grandkids.
Amen, amen.
That would be you'd be a competition with Dahlia.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. All right,
How old are you, baby?
46.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
Ah, good question. Good. You're to Eddie's question.
It's close.
Good morning. Today is Daf Kuf Dalet Amud Beis. Kuf Hayes. Today we left off at the bottom of Kuf Dalet Amud Beis. And all right, and away we go.
Yes, Mayor New.
So now we're going to use some expressions that we've used in the couple of the previous Mishnayos. Kuf Dalet Amud Beis.
Let's get on our yacht and go in the sea of Torah.
Yeah. All right. So a couple cute looking pages. So it says over there, Mida the guy says, okay, I'm gonna sell you something measured by rope exact. Mida b'chevel ani meicher lecham. Hey Nifasser, hey Yasser. I will an exact measurement. I will sell you more or less. Okay, so an exact measurement really means literally. I'm supposed to sell you 75,000 square amos, not 75,002. You got to take those off. That's the literal thing, right? Exact measured by a rope. And the other part, more or less, means it could be within 1/24th, as we see. So what's the halacha there? So bitel hein chasser hein yaser mida b'chevel. Such a case, the last expression overrides, nullifies the first expression, right? It's like he retracted, right? So we go toughest lashon achron. We go after the main thing is the last thing he said, and similarly, the guy says to him, "Hey, if he says, I'm going to go ahead and sell you something more or less a base core as measured exactly by a rope," which he said last. So therefore comes along the expression of as measured exactly by a rope and nullifies hein chaser hein yeser, and then nullifies the expression of hein chaser hein yeser divrei Ben Nanas. That is the opinion of Ben Nanas. So according to Ben Nanas, as we see in the Mishnah, a guy uses two lashonos that contradict one another. You go after the second lashon, right? He's basically retracting his original statement. Now,
Focus on Gemara with
so we'll see, right? So now let's see what's going on with that. So let's see. So Amar Rabbi Bar Memel Amar Rav Poken Olav Chaverov Al Ben Nanas. By the way, his colleagues, they disagreed with Ben Nanas. My Kamashmalan. What do you mean that not everyone agrees with this? It's a big chiddush here. My Kamashmalan Tarida.
Usually it's about focus. Here's one about focus. Usually, if someone disagrees, it's actually sales analysis. That Chachamim say
right. So this is only brought down as Ben Nanas. Right. Right. So there's nobody else comes in. So let's see. Maybe there's other ways of understanding as just opposed to right first expression, second expression, going after the second expression. So let's see. So Tanina, but we already learned that there's a machlekes, right? What kind of chiddush is Rav's coming in? Oh, by the way, Ben Nanas is, everyone doesn't agree with him. People argue with him. What kind of chiddush is that? Well, we already learned this in a brayso. My commercial Tanina. So a guy is renting a house to his friend, and he says, "I will rent it to you for 12 gold coins for the year, a gold coin per month." And lo and behold, what happens? It's a leap year, right? So people always, start their tenancy, by Nissan. So all of a sudden, there's 13 months. So if you say it's 12 gold coins for the year, he doesn't know anything for the 13th month. And if you say it's a gold coin per month, then he would have to go ahead and pay for the last month. And his expression was, remember, let's go back, 12 gold coins for a year, a gold coin per month. They came before Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Yasi, and he said, they go ahead and they split the last month. In other words, it seems like it was a suffix. Do we go after Lashon Acharon like Ben Nanas says, and therefore the guy would go ahead and pay, right, for the 13th coin, because that was the last expression. Or maybe you go after the first expression it was 12 coins for a year. The leap year, the 13th month, is part of the year, and therefore we don't know which one it is. So therefore they say they divide it. Good morning, Yigal. We're around 40% of the way down, maybe around 10 lines from the top on Kuf Hey Amud Aleph.
It could be that the guy is paying for the entire year up front, in which case he would pay 12, but if he was paying per month, then he would have to pay an extra for the extra month.
So if he said, let's say in your scenario, let's say it says, I'm here for the year. They don't have a Hebrew calendar in front of them. No, well, we're still going to see. There's going to, Eddie's onto something, but we'll still see. But if a person,
You know it.
no, but if somebody says, Eddie, if someone says, I'm renting this to you for a gold coin a month, okay, and I'm going to be here for the year, and they didn't realize it in the beginning, and it was a leap year, and the guy only gave him 12, he would have to give him 13, because that was clearly the condition of a gold coin per month. Over here, it's both. We're still going to see. Perhaps it could depend on when the claimant is coming. Is he claiming before the month? Is he claiming coming afterwards or middle? So that. Right, so we're getting to that. But in your scenario that you said, if it was done beginning, but it still depends on the lashon beginning. But if it's both lashonas, then it's going to perhaps make a difference as to when the claimant is going to come. Now,
Unless they use.
so we already learned about like us. So Gemara says, no, email Hasam. I mean, if it was over there, I would have thought maybe Hasam who over there, maybe the guy was being a chayzer. Maybe he said 12 for a year, and then he says, you know what? Maybe there's a possibility that it could be a leap year. Right? So therefore, maybe he was chayzer and says, no, not 12 for the year, 1 per month. And someone would say, no, maybe he's just explaining it. Hey, it's 12 for the year, which is 1 per month, right? Not sort of, changing the deal. But in our case, over here, he's certainly going ahead and changing what he said. Is it either measured by rope or is it give or take? Right? Two opposite things. There's no way to explain that give or take means measured by the rope, or measured by the rope means give or take. Right? Both of them are opposite l'shonos. Right? So over here, you can't say, oh, which one did he mean? Did he mean to explain the first line, or was he like changing the mind? We don't have that in our case. So over there, it's a suffix what he was doing. But in this case, Avada, he was coming to argue, and therefore, so maybe you'd say over here that even not Kamash Milan, that they still argue in that case, and it's not a case of what was the person doing. Rather, it's a case of they go ahead and we don't know Lashon Rishon or Lashon Acher.
With the rope, it's not exact.
No, rope. The rope means exact. It's measured by a rope. No, right, because that's how they would measure, right? If I say measured by a tape measure or measure something, it's not just a handful, right? So that does it. But a rope they had exact, right? And it was 75,000. They would have to measure. This was 5,000.
Oh.
Amar Yudam Shmuel. Now, so that was Rav. Now comes Shmuel. Amar Yudam Shmuel. Zudi bananas. This is the opinion of bananas. Aval. Aval, you know what you do? Says Shmuel, basically the seller has the upper hand, and whichever one basically, allows him to give the lease. So let's say the guy was selling it. So if, let's say the guy was selling it, and he didn't give enough land, but he got all the money. So I said, give or take. Right? I said, give or take. So therefore, it's only 74,932. Give or take. Let's say it was 75,328. You can say, over there, once again, buy the rope. So therefore, he can use halakha pavashal v'shonos. So the Gemara points out, zuz v'lo sphere. So when it sounds like a Shmuel is coming, this is the opinion of Ben Nanas, but the Chum say something else. It sounds like Shmuel will hold not like Ben Nanas. He brought in the others, like zuz divrei Ben Nanas, mashma that he doesn't hold like him. In other words, that he doesn't go after the second lashon. I've heard Rav Shmuel Damer Tavai both them say, "Kur b'shleishi mani meicher lecha." So, the guy says, "I'm selling you a kur for 30 and meicher lecha." So, yochol achzabar afilu b'saha achrona. So, the guy's counting out the money, He's giving him, and all of a sudden he doesn't get to 30, right? And he gets to 28. He says, you know what? I don't want to do it. So since he didn't give over the money yet, because it was all one, right? One for all for one, he's allowed to be chayzer. But if he says kur b'shleishim sa b'sela, if he says an entire kur for 30, and then he also uses the lashon of every saw for a sela, right, which is 30, right in there. Ani ma'ikir l'cham selling to you. Rishon kana, right? Each one he acquires, right? So what do you see over here? You see why? Because the lashon achron was sa b'sela, right? And therefore, sabasela means every time he takes a sela, he acquires the saw. So it goes after lashon achron. So you see, Shmuel does hold like ben nanas. Sela zuba svirle. Right, it must be yes, and he holds like it. The Gemara says, you mean svirle? Does he really hold like that? I Omer Shmuel b'ba emta chodesh askina. Now back to the case of there, which Eddie was referencing to, right? So before, let's say the guy comes. Remember, we ruled over there that you split, they divide it. So why do they divide it? We said, oh, maybe it was because it was a suffix. So it could be a different reason. What's the different reason? The different reason is now, who is the muhsak in this case? The guy comes on the 15th. So he didn't pay yet, but he didn't pay for the first 15 days, but he has another 15 days to go ahead and pay. So now they come to Basin and say, what should we do? Like, if you hold that it's one for the year, I can live here rent-free for the rest of it. And if you hold the one per month, I should have already paid 2 weeks ago. Right, so maybe that's the case of Yachloka, but maybe it could be that we go for the Muksa. The guy came at the end. You're like, hey, you're too late, Charlie, and therefore you never brought proof that you owed for the month, and therefore he doesn't have to pay. Or if it was the beginning of the month, he says, hey, you can't live here unless you go ahead and pay. Because the kodesh, like I just said, when it comes to the beginning of the month, then kula maskir, then it would all go to the landlord. He can say, you got to go ahead and pay up. And if we come at the end, kula and if it comes to the end of the month, then it would all go to the renter, right? So you see that in this case, maybe we can say that it does go like ben nana. So over there, right, is when he goes to pay. So elo really, you can say. That turn the page. That Shmuel did not hold like Ben Nanas, right? Zuglei Svirle. So if that's the case, so if he doesn't hold like him, so why in that case, right? Did he rule? What was the case? Why in that case did Shmuel? Rule that we don't go after the last lashon that knows that he could be chayzer over there. Because the Hasid time of Mai goes over there. What's the case over there? Mishum the toughest, right? Because it was already in his hand. In other words, once he puts in his hand, then he's in the muchzak. If he's the muchzak, then he don't go extract. So hakanami hatafi. So over here, so in the case of the case of the kur, he already had his hand. Our whole point before was the proof is, hey, you must go. Shmuel must hold like Ben Nanas. Why? Because he held in the case of I'm selling you. A kur for 30, one saw per a seller per saw, right? That each one he acquires. It's not because of the lashon acharon. Rather, it's because he was the mukzak. It was already in his hand. And once he's mukzak, he doesn't have to go ahead and return it. So that was the reason. And it was not just because of lashon acharon. But if he never took it, that necessarily wouldn't be the case. The difference over there is because he was the one who was the mukzak holding on it. And similarly, we see. Amar Rav Huna says Rav Yehuda, Amri Rav. They said in the Yeshiva Rav. So, guy says, "I'm selling you something Eastera, right? An Eastera, which is a half of 192 prutos, which is 96 prutos." He says Eastera and then Mea Mai, right? Which is 100 Mai or 96 Mai versus. So, which one is it? Is it 92? Oh, excuse me, 96, or is it 100? So Mea Mai. So it's one mos, it's 100 mos, because he said that was the second lashon, right? Istra Mea Mai. So basically, quoting two different prices, you go for the second one. And Mea Mai, Istra, if he says, okay, I'll sell this to you for 100 mos an Istra, it's Istra. It's only an Istra, it's not a full 100. So Gemara says, my Kamash Malon, where you come teach us toughest lashon achron, you come teach us to go for the second lashon. Amar Chadazima. Rabbi Tarsa, Damar Rav, Havi Hasam, Havamina, Kulamasker. Rav said that if I were ruling in the case of the bathhouse, I would have given all to the maskir, to the renter. Why? Because he said 12 for the year, 1 per month. 1 per month was the last lashon. The last lashon is toughest lashon achron. So of course you got the last lashon. So too in this case, if he quoted him in Istra and Me'amai, he goes to the Me'amai, or Me'amai Istra, he goes to the last one, the Istra. So what's the chiddush over here? So Gemara says no. What would you have said in this case? Over here, he says maybe when he said 12 per month, excuse me, when he said 12 for the year, and then he said 1 per month, maybe he was only explaining. In other words, that it was 12 for the year because it's 1 per month. But if it was a leap year, it was going to be 13. So he's really explaining the first lashon. He wasn't changing it, right? There's no way to explain that 100 is 96 and 96 is 100. That's changing, right? So in that case, that was changing. So since maybe he was mafarish over there, that's why the landlord gets the extra month, because what he meant was 12 for the year means based upon a 12-month year. But if it's 13 months, it would be 13, 1 per month. Maybe he's just explained the statement. But over here, where there's no doubt that he was contradicting the original statement, so in this case, you might think that Kamash Malon, Tavash Lashon Achron, we go after that case, and we always go after the second lashon when it is definitely the only way to explain it is contradicting the first lashon. You go after the second one. All right, we'll stop here. The Mishnah is correct, everybody. Everybody have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow. B'ezras Hashem. Once again, 6:00 slichos, and followed by Daf. Shkoyach.